Good morning, and ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this very special day, the 29th day of May 2023. And Brisbane, 12 degrees and sunny, and it is beautiful out there, even though there's a little bit of a chill around in the air, but it's still beautiful. Well, welcome to this Monday. What's your week looking like? What do you got in plans? Well, right now, let's take a look at some of the things making news. First of all, here's the news in brief. Then we'll look at some of the news in details.
Melbourne has been shaken overnight by a magnitude 3.8 earthquake. Geoscience Australia says the quake struck near Sunbury on Melbourne's northwest fringe at a depth of 3 kilometres.
A trauma unit and grief counsellors have been sent to a school in Victoria's West, which was attended by 3 teenagers who were killed in a horror car crash on the weekend. A woman in her 30s also died when the car hit a tree near the community of Bakara. A 17-year-old girl, the sole survivor, remains in a critical condition at Melbourne's Alfred Hospital.
Turkey's incumbent President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has claimed victory in the country's runoff election with official results declared. Mr Erdogan netted more than 52% of the votes over his challenger Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu.
Police have announced a critical incident investigation after a woman's body was found in an apartment in Sydney's southwest on Saturday night. An anonymous woman made a 000 call late on Friday night saying she was being assaulted for money. Police attended 3 hours later but couldn't track down the source of the call in the block of 300 units. A neighbour called 000 again the next night and the body of the 34-year-old woman was discovered.
Around 100 residents of neighbouring buildings who were evacuated during the fire emergency in inner Sydney last week still don't know when they'll be able to return home. Authorities are worried about the structural integrity of walls at the site.
Hey, well, breaking news, not very good news, is there? Well, there's some good news which we will be talking about later on. But right now, let's look at what's happening in Victoria and after that multi-death collision.
Since Friday, we've had a catastrophe on our roads. We've had a significant number of people lose their lives. 7 people have lost their lives since Friday. We also have several other people with life-threatening injuries from a variety of collisions. Let's make the point at the start, none of these are accidents, they're collisions. They all have a cause and they could all have been avoided. The people who have been killed or seriously injured aren't bad people, some of them have made bad choices, in particular drivers. The issue is that this time last year we had 1 double fatality up until the end of May. This year we've had now 8 double fatalities. We've had 2 quadruple fatalities, and we've had 1 quintuple fatality up at Strathmerton. So this time last year, when you consider that we'd had 1 double where 2 people lost their lives, and this year we have seen a significant number of multiple fatality collisions. It's unacceptable, it can't go on. We are addressing, and have been, through our regional colleagues, a whole range of actions that we will take and will do. And we're talking significantly with our road safety partners to see what we can all do together. But the people we really need help from are the people using the roads every day, because they're the ones who can control what is going on. They're the ones who can limit the carnage. And it's to those people that I make the appeal right now to do something before you too either suffer road trauma or, as we've seen some terrible examples over the weekend, you will know someone who does. Families have been ripped apart. A community has been ripped apart. It cannot go on. We will be, as I said, readdressing what we do, but we cannot be everywhere at once. A number of these collisions, in fact, significant trauma collisions have happened in remote rural areas where we can't be everywhere at all times. We need people to take responsibility for their own actions. I said that a lot this year and I'm sick of saying it. Our investigators are absolutely frustrated. They are tired, but it's our job and we'll keep turning up to do it. But when we see things that could be avoided through either limiting outrageously reckless behaviour not speeding, like we're seeing some unbelievable speeds, and not being distracted by the use of devices and filming yourself while you're committing serious criminal offending at high speed, it's a fairly simple fix.
There you are, and we've seen many incidents of people putting on reels and other things of, when they're speeding or doing all the things. This is just clear stupidity. And so much lives have been lost and so much damage that has been done. Well, right now, let's look at that earthquake. It, of course, rocked Melbourne, making it huge, but it also rocked a music concert.
Oh my gosh!
But certainly enough to make people really worry about what was going on. Some people said that they thought that a plane had crashed into a roof nearby. Others thought that they had a car crashing into their home. Many people said, look, I just thought that it was a really loud, rambunctious possum trundling across the top of the roof, till I realised that the windows were rattling as well. And we know that there were more than 20,000 reports to Geoscience Australia. It was felt as far north as Bendigo and as far south, in fact, as Hobart. And the SES, although they say that there were no reports of any damage or injuries to them, they were absolutely inundated with calls from people talking about the fact that there had been a quake. Now, we know from seismologists that the last time that we saw a quake in the metro area of Melbourne was back in 1902 of this magnitude. We did see that big one that hit in the lockdown of 2021 back in September, which caused lots of damage around the place, but that was actually located out near Mansfield, so quite some way away from Melbourne. So the SES is warning that if there are any aftershocks, then people need to make sure that they hold on to something sturdy or get underneath a table and keep holding on until the tremor stops.
Yes, and as the sun comes up, people might see sort of cracks in the wall and things like that.
Yes, once again, not a very good news, as I mentioned before, that earthquake in Melbourne. Well, right now, we're coming into winter, we're really into winter. What's happening with the energy? Are we having enough?
We're very concerned that households will go cold through the winter, and that will lead to greater health and wellbeing impacts. And we know that 1 in 5 Australian households are in some form of energy stress, and that increases for people on lower incomes. So we see around 40% of those on the lowest incomes in energy stress. So we're really concerned that hardship will increase through the winter.
And given what we've just heard last week about the default market offer, energy prices set to go up between 20 to 25%, obviously that's only going to exacerbate that.
Yeah, absolutely. We already talked to a lot of people who are doing it tough, and those price increases will increase it. We know that people sometimes trade off when they do medical appointments or purchasing medicines. People who might, we hear of parents who will do whatever they can to keep their kids warm, perhaps going to bed early with their kids and staying in bed through the night so that their kids stay warm, because people often can't afford to pay their energy bills.
What can be done?
I think some of the moves that are in place now, like the cap on wholesale gas prices, the direct payment to households, are really welcome. But we would see that more needs to be done as well in terms of a thorough look at the energy market to see, is it working in the long-term interests of the consumers, but also more investment in energy efficiency for people's homes and electrification, which we know will save people money.
Speaking about electrification, some of the tips that you give is it actually may be less expensive to use reverse cycle air conditioning, for example, to heat your home rather than using gas. What do you tell people who are trying to cut down on their energy bills for heating?
Yeah, absolutely. If people have got a reverse cycle air conditioner, that's a great way to heat your home, and not everyone knows that. So, excuse me, through the winter, using your reverse cycle air conditioner is a great thing to do. Make sure you've cleaned the filter as well to make it run efficiently. You can also perhaps heat a single room if you're worried about your bills and focus on keeping one room warm. And another thing you can do is, a lot of people in my team have got these electric throw blankets, which you can get from major department stores, and they basically heat you rather than the whole home. For people who own their own home, doing upgrades around more efficient hot water systems, insulation and the like is also fantastic.
Where does that leave people who are in rental accommodation?
Yeah, renters are in a really tough position here, and renters can do some of those measures, making sure you've got your concessions in place, ensuring you're on the best energy market offer. You can go online to Energy Made Easy across the country or Victorian Energy Compare, but it is really difficult for renters. We would really like to see mandatory minimum standards for rental properties for energy efficiency, because at the moment renters are getting hit by high rents plus inefficient homes, leading to very high bills.
There you go, the energy crisis of a different kind, where people cannot afford to use as much energy as is required to keep safe and warm and in good hygienic conditions. So that is a thing of a concern, and as he mentioned, there are a few measures that need to be taken to address that situation. Well, we looked at those the terrible car crashes, and Southern Campion's mayor says he's really concerned about that.
It's an absolute tragedy for our small community here, and it's only just 24 hours, a little bit more, that the accident occurred, somewhere between 4 o'clock yesterday morning and about 9:30. So there was 5 occupants in a car down a single car road, very small, low traffic area. Quite clear that road is straight where it happened. A lot of red gums and trees on the side of the road, and 4 are now deceased and 1's fighting for her life in Melbourne. I think the town's still in shock. The families would certainly be grieving, and the shock would be enormous for the immediate families. But the ripples that have gone out through the community have just been horrendous, and I think a lot of the community in shock right through. So these young children at school with all their schoolmates, I think they're going to have a huge effect right through to school tomorrow when they go back to school. Their mothers and fathers, their work colleagues are all in shock right through. So if we didn't know the children directly, I think everybody in the community knows someone in the family, whether it's a grandmother, grandfather, uncles, aunties, so forth. It's affected everybody. Our hearts go out to the immediately families, but then we've got to take in consideration the police force who have been out there all yesterday, all last night. They haven't really 100% identified the bodies yet. That's how bad the accidents were. So these poor chaps, they have families, they have children, they go back to them. So we must organise our trauma management with the police, and then tomorrow the schools, the headmaster, Warwick Price, he's got a team of teachers there that he's got to manage their trauma and how they react and manage the school children. And we do have some services coming in. So we have a trauma unit coming in tonight or tomorrow morning, and although we don't have a lot of services here in Hamilton like Headspace and Brophy, we do have the services in Warrnambool, and they're coming up to join us. So the council's role is probably coordinating a lot of that, getting out information to the community. If they do want help or counselling in the trauma, we can let them know where they are and where they go to in contact.
Well, they were, as he said, it is a matter of grave concern, and it has affected everyone because it's a small, neat community where most of the people are known to either the parents, the grandparents, or the kids. So or friends. So it's a very, very tragic moment there. Well, as I said, there is some good news. So we'll finish up on a higher note. The first ever Ganga Aarthi was held at Oli Park in Brisbane by Sai Saileswar Group. Here's just a glimpse. We'll try and bring the official coverage from this footage, but this is a few of the glimpses which we captured.
Creatures for thousands of years. And they named this beautiful river behind us as Maywar. That's her name. It's Maywar Ma, who we are honouring today, as we honour Ganga Ma. So we are all here today to honour, we're all here today to honor Ganga Aarthi. And we're doing that through the beautiful Brisbane River. I guess in reality, all the rivers are one. They're all flowing to the same destination. We're also here to honor the water. Water is life and it sustains life. So we're here to honor the mother water. We're so happy that you all came here today to our first Ganga Aarthi program for Brisbane. When I say we, our community, we are from the Sai Baba Temple in Virginia. And when I say we are also from the Shiva Shakti Ma Charitable Foundation, which is kind of part of our temple. And through that charity, what we try to achieve is to honor and to promote harmony and divinity in all of us and in the natural environment. To basically understand that we are actually all part of this nature. We aren't really separate from this earth or from this water. In fact, we belong to her. It isn't that a piece of land belongs to us. We actually are owned by the land. Without her, we can't survive. So a little bit about Ganga Aarthi that we are actually celebrating today. Ganga Aarthi is celebrated every year as the occasion on which Ma Ganga, the celestial river, came down onto the earth.
So there you are, ladies and gentlemen. You've had it first on Australian Indian Radio. And as I mentioned, once we get a hold of the complete coverage and a full footage, we will run that as a feature here in Australian Indian Radio. And thank you to a lot of viewers and listeners on our live broadcast of Australian Indian Radio from Gayatri Mandir in Bundal on Tuesday nights. Amazing 150k plus views. That is just amazing numbers, and I would like to thank everyone for joining in on that as well. And as I mentioned in this program, if you have any topic that you would like to talk to us about, we'd be happy, more than happy to have you on the show. We can bring you either via a video link to join onto the studio if you are unable to attend in person. In person is always best, but we can get you via video links as well. Video links, sometimes there are some technical hitches, and depending on where you are connecting from, the size of the room, the makeup, the acoustics of the room, and the equipment used, and all that determines the quality of the streaming. So that is why it is always desirable, if you are able to make it, to come to the studios. But as I mentioned before, nevertheless, we are happy to get you in via a video conferencing call. So if you have something important to talk about, any message that you would like to get out to the community, we'd love to have you, because we need this is a channel and a platform for you all to come on, discuss, and bring to the wider community what you are about, what you are doing. So once again, congratulations to Sai Celeste Group, the Sai Baba group from Virginia. And of course, as they mentioned, they also have their charitable trust. And for taking on this initiative, it's not easy organizing an event like that, especially going to the city council, getting all the permits, making sure that the attendants come on time to give you access to power, and many other things that go on in the background. Just to look at the event and say, oh, this isn't right, or what, that isn't right. That is the easy part to do, for criticize. To actually go out there and do it and to make it happen, that takes a lot of time, effort, and courage. So well done, the Sai Saleswara group. And they have another program coming up, the Palki Festival. We'll be talking to them about that as well. But for now, it's goodbye from us. It's been wonderful having your company as usual. And we will see you all back tomorrow. Until then, it's goodbye from us. From tomorrow, we will update all the functions and events as well.